What a friend we have in Jesus. All our
JJLN Radio. The following program was pre-recorded to be aired at this time. Material contained therein could be time-sensitive, meaning it could be early, expired, or late. Listeners are advised to pay close attention to the details of the program. Again, this program is pre-recorded. Views and opinions expressed on the following program are those of the host and guest, and not necessarily those of the staff and management of JJLN Radio. Time now is 7 p.m. Normally here would be the Lady G Show, but taking the place of Lady G Show is the Angel Cafe with Kathy Navin. That's right, from now on you're going to be able to tune into this program Saturdays at 7 p.m. And then it's going to be retelecast the next 6 days, 24 hours a day. The Angel's Cafe with Kathy Navin. The phone lines are open. You can call in and be a part of the show by dialing 1-888-778-1436. That's 1-388-778-1436. And you can also contribute to support the show financially by using the world-famous silver button at the top left-hand corner of the viewing portal you're now watching. The show will be recorded, so a DVD and audio CDs will be available. We'll talk about that more later, but right now, here we go into the facilities of JJLN Radio, into the studios of Amerimere.net for the Angel's Cafe with Kathy Navin.
Hello. Thank you for joining us this evening for this historic Everything Veterans Angel Cafe show. Joining us in the JJLN studio, broadcasting live from Las Vegas, Nevada, is distinguished combat wounded Purple Heart veteran David Hugus. Welcome to the show, Mr. Hugus.
Thank you so much, Kathy. It's certainly a pleasure to be here.
I am so excited to have Mr. Hugus with us. We will hear from him, and he will share invaluable information about his organization, Military Order of the Purple Heart, Chapter 730. But we'll start with a prayer. So let's all pray together. Father God, please bless our Angel Cafe show tonight. Please abundantly pour out to our nation's veterans, their families, and our listeners your gracious favor and healings wherever they are needed. Turn your face, please, towards America and its leaders, providing them with both your wisdom and your grace. Let our audience be inspired by this amazing guest. And Father, thank you for this opportunity to showcase one of our nation's greatest asset, our veterans. Thank you. Amen. So we're going to get started this evening, and I want to tell you first, folks, I am humbled and honored and grateful that God saved David Hugus on the battlefield, brought him back. He served in the military, and he serves today. So right now, we're going to learn from him, and we're going to let him do some talking. So tell me, David, about your career, why Army, and about your family.
Well, I was born in Northwest Indiana and ended up attending Purdue University. At that time, Purdue was a land-grant college, and ROTC was required for 2 years for any male students who attended. So I was required to do 2 years of ROTC. I found the military people that I was associated with during that time to be appealing and attractive and people worthy of respect.
Absolutely.
And so I decided to sign up for advanced ROTC.
Okay.
And so I had 4 years of ROTC, and because of that, when I graduated, I was commissioned as second lieutenant in infantry.
Wow, that's really impressive.
Okay. And I ended up going to Germany with my wife as my first assignment. We spent a year there, and I went to Vietnam.
Excuse me, can I ask you where in Germany?
Yeah, it was at Bad Kreuznach. It's about 40 kilometers south and west of Frankfurt.
Okay.
It was the headquarters of the 8th Infantry Division.
Okay.
It was stationed in Germany.
And so now you were in Germany 1 year before you went to Vietnam.
Yes, that is correct. I remember at Thanksgiving, our first Thanksgiving in Germany, we went through the receiving line at the mess hall. Everybody ate Thanksgiving dinner with the soldiers.
Right.
And as I was going through the receiving line, I reached the bird colonel, who was in charge of our organization. He said, "Happy Thanksgiving, we have orders for you to go to Vietnam."
Oh my. Oh.
So that was my Thanksgiving present that year.
Oh, jeez.
So I ended up going to Vietnam in January of 1968. I showed up in country 2 days before the Tet Offensive started.
That's tough.
Yeah, it was not a good time to be a new guy in Vietnam, and I proved that by only lasting about 6 or 7 weeks before I was wounded.
Oh.
And I ended up spending three months in traction. I was shot in the knee.
Oh, Lord. Oh.
And it was kind of ironic. I was shot with a captured American weapon. It was a 40 millimeter high explosive shell.
Oh, no, so you had fragments of shrapnel.
It pulverized the inside of my right knee.
Oh.
I spent 3 months in traction, 6 months in a hospital. After being examined by all of the orthopedic surgeons at Fort Campbell, where I was evacuated eventually to the United States hospitals. The course of treatment, if you can believe that, was amputation of both the knee.
Oh, my goodness.
They told me I'd never walk again. Well, I declined their course of treatment.
Good for you.
And it took me a year to walk, but I managed that. And after 2 years, I passed the physical training test for the Army.
Okay.
And then I went to Vietnam and commanded a rifle company.
Oh my goodness, did you hear that, folks? Are you out there in America and around the world listening? I mean, we have more than just a soldier, more than just service. This is inspirational to hear this veteran talk. So now you go back to Vietnam a second time.
Yes, and that's when I served with 25th Infantry Division, and I had the great good fortune to command Charlie Company, 1st Battalion, 27th Infantry, nicknamed the Wolfhounds. Excellent organization. They still do good things for active duty soldiers. They have a reunion every year. My wife and I have been going to those reunions for about the last 8 years.
Oh, that's nice.
And so I was really lucky with the unit that I got to serve with at that particular time. When I left Vietnam the second time, I was selected to go to graduate school.
Okay.
And I went to the Naval Postgraduate School and got a master's degree in operations research.
Well, congratulations there. I heard something about that this morning. They said you're a doctor, you have doctorate.
Yeah, well, after the master's degree, I went to Fort Leavenworth, Kansas, and was a senior military analyst on the study of the helicopter-launched anti-tank missile Hellfire.
Okay.
And a good friend of mine and I did that study, and the Hellfire missile ended up being accepted into production.
Wow.
After that, I went to the 9th Infantry Division, where I was a battalion and brigade operations officer for about 2.5 years. And
that's an awesome responsibility.
It is. It is the premier staff position at both of those levels, and I was very fortunate to have that opportunity to do that. The brigade commander I worked for at that particular time had been a guy by H. Norman Schwarzkopf,
Oh,
who led the forces in the first Gulf War.
wow.
When I finished that tour, I was again selected for schooling, and I went to the Naval Postgraduate School and got a PhD in
I
operations
see.
research. It was kind of a difficult thing. The Army gave me 2 years to finish a 6-year curriculum,
Oh, jeez.
and so it was a bit of a challenge. I didn't sleep a lot those 2 years.
I guess not.
From there, I went to Korea to command an infantry battalion.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. What a career here. Okay, go on.
And from there, I went to 8th Army headquarters, and I was the 8th Army force structure and budget officer, and we ended up dealing with the Pentagon on the budget and force structure that was allocated to the Korean Peninsula.
Okay.
And that was a very, very interesting, satisfying job. I went from there to the Pentagon,
Okay.
and I was Deputy Director for Analysis in what was then the Deputy Chief of Staff of Research, Development, and Acquisition. And we were responsible for reviewing and assessing all of the major studies that were done to support the acquisition of major weapon systems
Wow.
for the Army. At that point, this knee that I had been kind of nursing along for kind of wore out, and I had trouble walking, and so I was asked to leave.
Oh,
Infantry guys who can't walk are not really useful.
okay.
And so I left the Army at the Army's choice, not mine.
Oh,
And
their loss.
perhaps. It all worked out because I'm in a good place, and
Good.
so everything must have gone the way it should have gone.
Well, because sometimes something seems not so good and it ends up being a blessing.
And you have to wait a while to figure out whether or not it was a good or bad thing.
Yes.
But I ended up working for a defense contractor in Southern California.
Okay.
I worked in that same facility for 23 years. We did some very interesting work on an autonomous artillery projectile,
Okay.
and also the sensor that replaced the sensor that detected the Scud launches in the first Gulf War.
Oh my goodness.
So-
Wow. So your work is germane to the country being free.
Yeah, it was. It was an intellectually exciting opportunity and an opportunity to work with some very highly qualified, very well qualified engineers, both male and female, and it was a good experience.
Yes. Awesome.
And 7 years ago, my wife and I moved to Henderson, and when I finally retired. And we've been here ever since, and it's probably one of the best decisions that we've made.
Absolutely.
So it's an excellent place to live, and particularly from the way that Henderson and the leadership in Henderson treats its veterans.
Wonderful. Very veteran friendly.
Yes, Mayor Marsh and the City Council and all of the employees that we have dealt with over the time that I've been associated with Chapter 730 of Purple Heart have all been very gracious, very well qualified, and very responsive to our interactions. And so it's just been a real pleasure, particularly excuse me, coming from Southern California,
Right.
where not quite so veteran friendly,
Yeah.
and it's been a very
Rewarding to live here.
rewarding and very satisfying place to live. And so my wife was the primary motivator in making that decision, and I'd have to give her extremely high marks for that.
Absolutely, yes. I can understand that because I was high marks in my husband's life when we met, and I said, don't fall in love with me. I have one for you in Las Vegas. I'm going to warmer climate. Okay, but let's go to another thing. I want to know if you can define for people, first of all, what Purple Heart means, because there's listeners around the world. So let's talk about what that means first.
Well, the Purple Heart is awarded for people who are wounded in action as a result of enemy combat. It's been sometimes described as the only decoration that's available to everybody and wanted by no one.
Yeah.
And so everybody up until this last war, anybody who bled as a result of enemy action was awarded the Purple Heart.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the Purple Heart's history goes back to
Was it 1932 or?
well, that was its latest incarnation, and that was when it was officially recognized as a medal by the United States Army.
Oh.
But it was originally awarded by General George Washington right after the Revolutionary War.
Wow.
During the Revolutionary War, there really was no system of awards recognizing valor.
Excuse me, we're going to come back to awards in just a minute. We're going to break.